Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Swatoa, Team President for the Greensboro Swarm, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome you here today as we officially welcome to Greensboro the Greensboro Swarm's new head coach, DJ Bakker. Typically, we would host an event like this at the Novant Health Fieldhouse this afternoon. However, our court is being reinstalled and being prepared for the upcoming season. So we'd like to thank the OVG group for giving us the opportunity to work out of here today at Piedmont Hall. Joining us today on stage, to my right, and we want to welcome officially to Greensboro, back to Greensboro, is President of Basketball Operations for the Charlotte Hornets, Jeff Peterson. Along with Jeff, we'd like to introduce Cole Teal, who is returning GM for the Greensboro Swarm this upcoming season. And finally, before we begin, I'd like to recognize Dotun. Dotun, where are you? Dotun Akinwale, who is the Hornets Assistant General Manager. Welcome to Greensboro, Dotun. So without further ado, I would like to turn things over to Jeff Peterson for his opening statement.
Thank you, Steve. First, I just want to thank you all for coming and start off by just welcoming Coach Bakker to Greensboro, his family, his wife Laura, his children Chastity, Kinsley, and Benson, just to Greensboro and Charlotte, the Carolinas, all of it. Just can't tell you guys how thrilled and how excited we are that they are a part of the Hornets family and part of the organization now. So, when we set out to start the search for our next head coach of Greensboro, we were very privileged to be able to even interview DJ, and it became evident right away that he was the right person and the right coach for this job. He has a ton of experiences, not only in the G League, but also in the NBA. And if you go back and look at some of the guys that he's been able to play a part of when it comes to developing and teaching and coaching, it's been pretty impressive. So he did a great job in the interview process, and again, we're just excited to have him here. So there's no doubt in my mind that he is going to bring a competitive group to the floor every night in Greensboro. We're going to be completely aligned with the Hornets in terms of just the values and what he teaches, the terminology, the playbooks, all that good stuff. So we're really, really excited that he's going to be a critical part of our organization and the development of our young guys. And at some point, those guys will be able to continue to play with the Hornets and the organization going forward. So really, really excited about the future. I know he's ready to get started, so I'll turn it over to DJ.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate the kind words. Really excited to be here today. First off, just want to say thank you to Rick and Gabe, Jeff, to yourself, to Dotun, to Coach Lee, and to Cole in the process. The opportunity to interview for this position at this time within the organization was very attractive to me, meeting with Cole and some of the Hornets staff members, and then as the interview process continued, to meet with Jeff, Dotun, and Coach Lee. And there was, on my side, a tremendous amount of excitement, a belief in the vision and the values and the alignment on the NBA side to the G League side. So it became very apparent that this was a great opportunity, and thankfully enough, I was the guy that they wanted. Having coached in the G League for 2 years, I love this league. I love everything about it. The opportunity to develop and shape and mold the careers and lives of the people in this league. It's a group of young, hungry, driven players with tremendous upside, and the opportunity to have a developmental impact on them along with my staff is something that is very exciting to me. So it's a great day to be here, tremendous amount of gratitude for the opportunity, and grateful to meet all you guys.
First question.
Hey, Steve, back here.
Mike.
When you both talked about the alignment between the Swarm and the Hornets, how does that look? Because I don't necessarily we've seen that over the last couple of years. How do you make that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll start and then DJ can follow up. Quite frankly, it starts now. DJ's been in all the coaches' meetings with Coach Lee and his staff already in Charlotte. as they're prepping for this upcoming season. So he knows exactly what we're going to run, when we want to run it, what kind of coverages we want to run. So we view it as just an extension of the Hornets. And there will be a daily connection between the Hornets and the Swarm, whether it's myself and Cole or Dotun, DJ, and our coaching staff in the Hornets. Again, we'll lay out expectations and what that's going to look like in terms of when players are assigned back and forth. But we will have a very, very high-level presence in Greensboro, and I think that's the way it has to be done.
Yeah, on the coaching side, like Jeff mentioned, just spending time with Coach Lee and his staff, but also spending time with the players as well that as they come into market, understanding for the players what is the style of play that we're looking to play with, the terminology, really being covered on the basketball sense, but it's not just that, it's building the professional habits that these players need to play at the NBA level, and what does the Hornets DNA for these players look like. And I think the professional habits from a cultural standpoint and the values that we represent, our gym, our environment, our commitment to teaching should reflect that, whether a player would be in Charlotte or in Greensboro, they're going to mirror each other. So it's much, the basketball part is critical, but like I said, the professional habits and the cultural standpoint and the values have to be equally aligned as well, which they are.
The way rosters are in the G League, how difficult is it as a coach to know that it can be a revolving door? Like, guys are going up and down with two-way contracts, free agents are coming and going. How challenging is it to manage a roster that is constantly changing?
Yeah, I think from my first go around from doing this for 2 years in Detroit, I realized the biggest key to success in the G League is adaptability, right? Coaching the group that's in front of me that night. And the players understand that as well, because minutes and rotations, it's not just the coach that's affected, it's the players as well. And I think hitting that head on at the very beginning of the season, of letting them know, like, this is the league I signed up to coach in, and this is the league they signed up to play in, and that adaptability piece of understanding things are going to change, but whoever's in the room that night, that's the group we're going to go with. And I think staying very clear and consistent with our messaging of what each player's roles and expectations are. So regardless of if a guy is playing 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a guy might be outside of the rotation that night, he understands the value that he brings, what we need him to accomplish on both sides of the floor, and those expectations. I think when you lay those out with clarity and understand that adaptability is always going to be a key for all of us to succeed, we can plan as much as we want, but then when those changes happen, how do we adjust and pivot swiftly? And I think just planning and preparing as much as we can, having a constant level of communication with the Hornets, with the front office, so we can catch as many of those things ahead of time, but there are going to be times when it's unexpected, and like I said, just hitting it head on with the adaptability piece and the clarity and the transparency with our roster and the players.
Yes, in the back.
Coach Sean Porter, WSII, what was it about this organization and raising
To me, the timing was just outstanding. How many times do you get to enter an organization with brand new ownership, a brand new president, a brand new NBA head coach? And when I met with Jeff and Dotun and Coach Lee, again, it was their values and it was their vision, it was their belief that how critical the G League is as a developmental tool to benefit the NBA club. And so we were very aligned on vision and values, and then I just know from watching games, like the fan base here and the support, with packing the field house, basketball is king down here, and so just being part of a fan base that's passionate, that's supportive, I mean, that's an environment you want to coach in, that's an environment you want to play in. So between the organizational alignment, the values shared, and obviously just the opportunity of the timing of where the organization is at, all of those things made me more than thrilled about this opportunity.
Sam?
Sam Road, Hornets.com. Congratulations and welcome. Question, I guess, for all three of you. What would you constitute a successful season for the Greensboro Hornets this upcoming year?
Yeah, I'll start and pass to these guys. I think, excuse me, one of the things that's very important to Charles and I and the rest of us is development, right? Guys have to get better on a daily basis, right? It doesn't matter their age, doesn't matter where they are in the life cycle of their career. We wholeheartedly believe that every single person and player can get better. And the curve, the developmental curve looks different for each player, but regardless of what the situation is, there has to be a relentless approach to how am I going to attack the day to get better. So I'm not going to sit here and put a number on wins and losses or anything like that, just like I wouldn't with the Hornets team either. But I think if we approach every day with with the right mindset of, okay, I'm going to figure out how I can get better to help the team, that's success. So.
Yeah, just to add to it, because the developmental piece is critical, just the player experience and the cultural standpoint, are we pouring into the players? Did they have a great experience here? Did they get better? Did we invest in them on and off the floor as well? So the cultural part and the values are huge. And then for me, it's developing winning habits, decision making, getting back in transition, shot selection down the stretch. These type of things lead to winning, but I think more so than anything is being obsessed with daily improvement and focusing on the controllables. If we do those two things every day of honing in on the daily development, pouring into the players to maximize their experience, and then develop winning habits of the discipline of how to win games, I think those three things are kind of what I measure myself on every day.
Yeah, not much to add to that, but players always come first, but even for the staff side of things, it's an opportunity for us to develop too, and really excited for this year.
And just to kind of follow up there, talk about the development in the G League. There's a lot of adaptability and flexibility that you need. How do you balance the development with also, you obviously want to win, you want to put a winning product on the floor, you want guys to experience winning. How do you sort of balance those two things in terms of make sure you get the development, but you're also making sure you're putting yourself in a position to win? I guess it gets all three of you.
For me, they go hand in hand. The development to improve them individually. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What is our game plan to improve those individuals? And then collectively, how do we bring the strengths of all these individuals to collectively play as a team? And I think when you do that, it leads to wins. But again, we're going to be process driven. And when I talk about controlling the controllables, is every single day, whether it's a film session, an individual workout, a team practice, how are we getting better in those, our 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, whatever it looks like, how are we improving in that segment? And I think if you add up enough of those days, it does lead to results on the floor. But I think it all starts with the individual development, the positional development for our players. What do our point guards need to do? Really laying out and being clear, what does development look like for this individual, for this position group, and then ultimately for our team, and then getting them collectively to play together. And again, that's what I worry about. That's where I pour in all of my energy and my focus. And then we're highly competitive people. If there's a score, we're trying to win. So I think they go hand in hand.
Spot on.
Yes.
Kevin Conley with Fox again. How have you guys seen the G League sort of change and elevate? There was a time when a player was relegated to the G League. It was almost like a career death sentence. But now, it's truly changed careers for a lot of guys. Can you reflect on how much the league has changed in the last 5 to 10 years to where it's truly a real minor league system?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing now is guys are looking at it as an opportunity to go get better. So we never use the language like going down or relegate, anything like it's an opportunity. And everyone that we bring into this system are, as you guys have said, competitive. So it doesn't matter if you're playing at the park, playing at the local YMCA or in Greensboro or at the Spectrum Center, right? You want to go capitalize on that opportunity to go get better. So I think that's a big thing that's going into it, that just the mindset has kind of shifted with some of these young athletes is, you know what, I've seen Alex Caruso, right? He spent some time in the G League and he's being rewarded for it. I think where you get in trouble sometimes, right, you look at it as a punishment or whatever other word you want to use, and your mindset, right, inevitably that doesn't produce the habits that these guys are talking about because you're worried about just that you're not getting a fair shot or whatever it may be. So, I give credit to a lot of guys in this generation, just their mindset has shifted because they see the opportunity that it provides for them to get better.
Yeah, from my experience, and Coach Lee, he worded it the best. Like, our players are getting awarded the opportunity to get minutes with the Swarm. Like, this is a privilege, outside of being, if you're not in an NBA rotation, the G League is the next best place for players to play, to develop, to make mistakes, to grow, to learn how to win and build those winning habits that we discussed about prior. So I think it is a privilege, and I think our players within Charlotte feel that. But, when I was in Toronto, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Norman Powell, these are all individuals that played in the G League over the course of not just 1 year, but 2 years as well. So every year at the beginning of the year, we do a opening team meeting, and, there's great statistics on how many players on NBA rosters have played in the G League, and not just for 1 year, but for multiple years. Undrafted players that are lottery picks, second-round picks, and all across the board. So I think it is a proven developmental, ground and landscape to help players ultimately reach their ultimate goal of playing in the NBA. But, I think it's well understood within our organization how special this opportunity is for players to get minutes within the Swarm team.
Yeah, I think that number was back-to-back years now. It's 50% or more of the players on the opening day roster and throughout the season have played a G League game, and it same applied for the playoffs too. It was 50% or more players that played a G League game that were on playoff rosters.
Cole, you've worked with a couple different coaches in the past. Was there anything in particular that you noticed during the interview process with Coach Bakker that really set him apart? What really stood out to you in particular?
So, quick story, but we did DJ's interview at Encore Hotel, and the room that we were doing the interview in, we thought we were good to go there, and about 5 minutes in, we had to move to a different room. And right then and there, DJ's like, that's the G League, like the adaptability that he talked about before. But no, just like in the interview itself, I mean, you can hear him talking right now, like just super polished. And I mean, he's done the job before, and super passionate, smart, hardworking. And part of this too is like, we have friends in this industry and friends that have worked with him, and they just absolutely rave about DJ and who he is as a person and a coach. So super excited to work with him this season.
And then I guess a follow-up to you, and then if Coach Bakker or Jeff want to follow up, you have an idea of at least a couple two-way guys that will spend, I'm assuming, a good portion of the season here in KJ and Musa. What has stood out to you about them, bringing them in? How can you get the most out of those guys? And what else are you looking for in terms of filling out the rest of the roster here in Greensboro?
I'll pitch the two-way to.
Yeah, I'll hop on with KJ and Musa specifically. I'm pretty safe assumption they'll spend some time with Greensboro, and they're excited about it. Like they want to. Every player that we bring into this organization, they just want to play. They want to compete. They want to get better. They want to maximize themselves, and they know that at any given time, this may be the best vehicle for them to do that. So. Really excited for their their opportunity to come to Greensboro and play and get better.
Yeah, and as far as filling out the rest of the roster, I mean, it's a combination of overall talent. We want to put together guys that will support the two-ways and assignments, but also guys that are, potentially on the cusp of a call-up and will help us compete every night. And the biggest piece too is that the high character piece, guys who will, they're going to work hard and be about the right things and contribute to a positive development environment for everyone. So.